Ooh.
Oh.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it abuse to hit your kids?
That's kind of vague.
That's super vague.
But you know, there are people who say just that.
I think it is appropriate when a kid is small. Let's say 1 to I don't know what the maximum age would be, but when they're toddlers, to maybe give them a little tap. And then at some point you have to take a different approach, talking to the kid, finding alternative ways of disciplining the kid. Definitely not at a later age in life. Should you be hitting a kid?
When does toddler end?
I'm not sure. I think if you're 10 years old or older, I think you should use alternative means to discipline your kid. I don't think hitting a kid at that point. I think you're just going to make them very angry. What's that?
Trying to figure out ages over here.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how old I was in Stonehaven.
I just asked her if she would speak a one.
Yeah, I used to get spankings, and it's how you do it. You have to mix.
You used to get spankings?
I call it beatings. Beatings.
Okay, well let's do
Okay, I got beatings. I personally got beatings, and it was very traumatic because it wasn't mixed with love. And so, if you're beating a kid and you're not mixing with love, then it becomes very traumatic, and you can have mental scars for majority of your adult life. So there's definitely a balance. Small kids, I say, may be appropriate, but at a certain age, which I don't know what that age is, then it definitely is not the thing to do.
Well, the short answer is, as a parent, no, I do not believe that hitting your children is abuse if it is done in the appropriate manner. Hitting your children, and maybe that's not a good word, the hitting part, disciplining your children sometimes might require you to get their attention on their butt. Or if it's a small child and you don't touch the heater, don't touch the heater. No, don't touch the heater. Don't touch the heater. Oh, don't touch the heater. Right, that's what I meant. That's not abuse. You love your child. You are trying to teach your child a lesson. You are trying to steer your child away from things. And you also are trying to let your child know that there are sometimes negative consequences to their behavior. And your child knows that you love them. You are discussing what's going on. Our children, they got their butts whooped sometimes.
Uh-huh.
We discussed it.
You
You know why?
At the ages higher than both of them are talking about, just to point out.
How old were you when
But keep going.
No, I said an age.
I know, but your whole toddler reference.
Okay, no, I said our children got their butts whooped, but our smaller children, and you know what? I don't know about the 10 thing. He said 10. I was now, let me tell you, your father actually had a difficult time with spankings, whoopings, and all that. We had to discuss that because of his upbringing and because he was abused. He had a really hard time with that. I am the one who didn't. I mean, you know what? There are times
You need to get y'all
when
faking it.
you need.
It's
you
one of those
gotta.
things that it's gonna hurt me more than it's gonna hurt you.
I mean, I think you have to
That's
love
good.
your children and
I'm glad.
respect your children, but no, it is not abuse. There are so and I think that kids now, they know that they can cry abuse anytime. They run their households. There are some, you know, and I'm not gonna whatever. You can read between the lines, whatever you want. There are certain groups of people who, you know what? I'm sorry. I think there are different parenting styles. There are some people who just believe in the little timeout corner, and that's all good and well and cute. But you know what? Never, ever did any of my kids ever say, "Fuck you, Mom." Nobody slammed the door in my face. Nobody, we didn't have no disrespect like that going on in my house at all, ever, period, point blank. People said that my children were very mannerable and, you know, okay, your child should know from the time it's born to respect, but they get that out of love. You love your child, you know. Okay, this is what you did. I told you that if you do this, you know, whatever, this is the third time, you're going to get a spanking. How many licks? You're going to get 5. All right, let's get this over with. I love you. All of that stuff. I mean, punching your kid with a fist, beating them.
I was punched with the fist.
Hitting out of anger.
Yeah.
Hitting your child when you're angry and mad. All of that kind of stuff, yes. But you know what? No. You get a butt whooping and then you call the police and yell abuse. That kind of stuff is not, no. Throwing, you know, saying, you know, fuck you, Mom, and yelling and doing, no. And it's those timeout kids that have households like that.
So Dorian, how old were you when you?
Dorian, your turn.
Alright,
I'm interested in your perspective.
Okay.
my perspective, it ain't what you think. It's not that big of a deal. Do I think that's abuse? I think it can be abuse, and like you guys said, there is an appropriate age to do it, and you should start young, just like an animal when they're young. They don't understand anything, and a kid, when they're young, isn't going to understand words, so they do understand pain. So that's how you get them to behave. But it comes to a point once they understand words that it starts to no longer apply. Gradually, discipline like that will no longer apply. And what was I going to say? I think I was older than 10. Oh yeah, this is what I was going to say. Yeah, I was older than 10 when you guys were doing that. And at that point, I can tell you it wasn't effective. But what I really hated, and this is, I think, in general, you should not do it this way, but personally, I know you should not do it this way, is parents should not, and I'm not a parent, so I don't know in the moment what it feels like to be a parent and do that, but I know as me that it didn't work. I just got hit, and it didn't solve nothing, but you should not discipline your children with spankings if you aren't sure what happened. If you come home and there's something and you have multiple kids, you have 2 or 3 kids, and you don't know what happened, and you are angry because you don't know which kid did this, and you say, you know what? I'm going to spank all 3 of you.
Everybody.
And you spank all 3 of those kids because you can't figure out which one kid did that. And then that did not solve anything. That did not solve. You caused friction between the kids, for one, the siblings, because they're going to be all mad at the one that they know who did it. And they're going to look at you like you just hit me for no reason. I'm not learning anything from this. I'm learning that you get lazy sometimes and you want to just spank people because you don't know what happened. And then I'm just going to be mad. And I literally did not learn a lesson by you doing that. So I think that, and I wouldn't even go as far as to say that's abuse. I just think that's just wrong. You shouldn't do it. I wouldn't say it's abuse. But should kids be disciplined like that? Yeah. And you should. That's just a life thing that kids should go through to be spanked. Should they be abused? Is there a point where it doesn't work anymore? Yeah. And if you have one of those groups of people that you don't want to name who don't discipline their kids like that, they've gotten to the point where they can't. Once you see them acting like that, No
Right,
longer
right.
is it.
Control anymore.
It's not
Right.
like you can be like, you need to spank your kid. You know, if you spank your kid, they're not
Yeah.
gonna act like that. It's too
It's
late.
Right.
If they just started that, then the kid will just be like, you're just abusing me. They're not gonna
Right.
learn. They're not gonna learn.
Right.
From
Yeah.
that.
It has to start. That's why I said it has to start from day one. I mean, it's not something you can. And that's those parents are like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? What did I do? You didn't start parenting from the very beginning. That's. But it's
yeah,
another.
you can't be lazy with it. I've heard one technique that a friend of mine uses, and they had a chart that said if you do this, you get a certain amount of spankings. If you do this, you get a certain amount of spankings. That whole list of things that they did, and they knew what kind of spankings they got. So whenever they would act up, the mom would say,
Sure.
bring me the chart, point to me what you did, how many spankings are you getting? Then that's what they got.
Yeah.
So it's on you.
That kind of stuff is. I mean,
That's
yeah.
good.
That way the kid actually knows why they're being punished for a reason, and it's all good.
If you're doing it to somebody who's 13, 14, 15 years old, you're
That's abuse. That's abuse.
Because there's another way to handle it. And you got to hit somebody that age really hard, like using your fist or knocking them around. I mean, that's
Well,
just.
my dad went from as a little kid, to a belt. When I got older, about 11, 12, his fist, which was abuse. Big time abuse.
Developmentally, I think it's important to look at where they're at. Because if you're spanking or hitting 13, 14-year-old, they're, like you said, they're not learning anything. And I also want to
Anger.
comment on how I like how you put Shelby on blast. So during the
I
group
said-
spankings, it wasn't you, it was him.
I remember even once, after we got the spanking,
Shelby, you listening?
after we got we were like upstairs, like, we had to stay in our room and stuff. And I remember like Shelby was like crying and stuff and laying in bed. After a while, I got bored and I think I went to the bookshelf to get a book out to read or something, and there was a tape recorder that you guys put to try and record our conversation, and I found a tape recorder in there.
I remember that.
That's amazing.
And it's just like, really? You did just spank us, and now you're just proving you don't even know why you spanked us.
Okay.
Let's try to find out.
You know what's
Shanice needs to-
amazing? I don't remember any spankings that I've ever given you guys.
Oh,
You blocked it.
I did. Oh.
must have hurt that bad.
I don't know.
I'm whooping my kids for sure. I got whooped, but I got whooped past the age where you could have conversation. So I wouldn't want to whoop my kids past the age where we can have conversation and they can understand.
Right. Good point.
They are going to be physically reprimanded when necessary. I mean, and even if we're and you don't have to spank a kid to you should have to only do it once or twice, because then after that you have a nonverbal way of communicating that shuts all of that down. Like I never.
Not like counting to 10. 1,
Right.
2,
Right.
3, 4. We're still going.
Right.
It hurts me. It's hurting
It's
me.
hurting me
It's
more.
hurting me more than it's
It's
hurting
hurting
you.
me more than it's
Right.
hurting you.
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't. After a while, you kind of, it should be understood because that level of respect is established. If that's not established, then whooping them is stupid. I mean, it's null and
Yeah.
void, because I know I got a lot of whooping from my mom, but I can't remember a lot of those, and I remember getting some for like no reason at all. Like she just came home and I was outside on my bike, and she's like, get in the house, and we went in the house, and then I got a whooping, and you don't like ask what it's about because that's disrespectful, and you don't get told what it's about because you're just a kid, so you just endure it and you don't even know why. But I mean, it's just part of your life. But my dad spanked me one time, and it was probably the most impactful ever, because my feelings were hurt, and he didn't hurt me physically, but my feelings were so hurt that it was like, I don't ever want to make you feel like that, to make you want to even like whoop me like that, or be that upset with me, or be that disappointed in me. But from her, it didn't do anything. It was just like, I felt like I had to let her get this out. Like it was for her. Like I had to let her get this out, and she's going to do that, and then she's going to feel better, and then she's going to be nicer, and I was going to be okay.
Wow.
So it was never like, oh, I got a whooping because I did that. Well, let me make sure I don't do that again. No, it's more like, let me make sure I don't get caught doing that again, because that's what's going to happen. It didn't establish any respect or change any behaviors at all. it instilled fear and distrust.
Fear,
And that was it.
yeah.
And then you start to walk around on eggshells because you don't know
Right.
what can happen at what point for what reason. So you do everything to avoid anything. So, but I'm gonna whoop my kids and they'll understand it.
And timing is everything. You can't. My grandmother, and Rawson knows this. You would do something wrong, and she would say, "You got a whooping coming."
Yeah.
And
right.
so it could be 10 days later.
You know
You're in
got
a good mood. Everyone's good,
Nope.
but this is the day that she decides. This is
I'm mad.
literally this is whooping day,
Mhm.
and she would announce in the house, "Everyone's getting whoopings today."
For
So
no reason.
whatever you've done
Yep.
over the last 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, today's the day.
Yep.
And
Yep.
literally, you would have to line up
Yep. Outside
to
the
get
door.
your whooping with either a switch or an ironing cord, which is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that right
Now
there,
that's abuse.
that's traumatic, abusive.
Right. And the
Criminal.
way you feel while you're standing in line waiting.
Oh my God, you can
And
have a
I
heart
remember
attack.
standing in line waiting, and it wasn't even my parent that was about to give me a whooping,
It's a
but
culture.
like somebody else's parent. It was a situation like they don't know who did what, so everybody's getting a whooping, so line up. And you're just out there looking at each other like,
And you can hear it too.
is somebody gonna say something? Like, I
Right.
did not, I'm not, and your dad's about to whoop my, oh my God, look, something's about to happen. And then you go
Right.
in there and I'm like, you are really about to whoop me and
I
you're
don't
not
think in my
even
life.
like,
You're
not even my parent.
Yeah.
and I'm like, it's so, and you're crying already, like, it's so traumatic.
It is very traumatic.
And it's not like you walk away from that like, you know what, I bet I don't run out there and steal
Right.
I bet I don't do that no more. No, you're like, I bet I don't get caught doing that anymore.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to say I don't think any whoopings affected me. I got nothing out of any whoopings I ever got were because they weren't delivered appropriately,
Right.
Right.
except for one, and I got it with a switch from Big Mama. She walked me to the tree. I had to pick my own switch. Watch her cut it down.
Have to
Walk
pick
back into the
switches.
house. Got it. That wouldn't affect me for the same type of reason because my feelings were hurt because I
Right.
know that I did
It's
something
so
to.
devastating.
And
to make you
that was the
feel
only
like
time
this.
that I ever had to do that with her.
Right.
Any other whoopings I ever got from anybody else in my life were all ineffective because
Yeah.
they were all done inappropriately and not right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot. I just remember like, getting some, and then the rest were just threats. Don't make me get the wooden spoon.
You're lucky.
That seems to be kind of a
Wooden
running
spoon.
theme.
One spoon on the back of your jeans, right?
Right.
Yeah.
From a distance.
Yeah, I don't think it's on my butt.
I do remember my principal.
That's different.
He-
That's
he-
corporal punishment. That's
Well, he had a paddle.
Wow.
Did he use it?
Oh yeah,
On the
fiberglass.
Wow.
Fiberglass. Oh yeah, he called you the
go to
principal's
school where they
office
had corporal
Oh,
punishment.
and he was
Oh,
My elementary school
Swap you-
had corporal
swap you on the-
punishment.
on the bottom.
You go to the principal's office, but the teachers can too. There was every
Yeah.
day there were kids standing in the hall getting a paddling. You
Ah,
just
that's
line
good.
up in there.
Yeah.
I remember when it
Wow.
was new that they had to stop doing that. I remember when that was new. Like this was a new, like that's not
Concept.
allowed
Can't do it
anymore. I
anymore.
remember that was a
Wow.
a change.
All right.
That's crazy.
Woo, deep one.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
Bye,
Love,
Shelby.
Shell.
Bye,
See, Shelby.
Thanks for the spanking, Shell.
You should tell the truth. Why you tell the truth?